As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner, YouGov, offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. We also did briefly talk about New World. So that was the one topic that we did get to in any kind of detail. And it was this article that I brought up, which you guys, I think, will enjoy. This was the article that prompted the New World conversation on the podcast. And that is Amazon's New World MMO won't let you name yourself Jeff Bezos. This is the important New World news that we discussed on the podcast.
Wow.
Hard-hitting gaming industry news.
I mean, to your credit, I mean, if you're building a game, I mean, why not? Like, honestly, I would have gone the other route. I would have gone it like, if you named yourself Jeff Bezos, you got plus 10 attribute points. Like, I would have been more self-promotional.
Like minus 10 if you named yourself Tim Cook.
Well, did you see the other piece of news that Elon Musk is, I think, sending Jeff Bezos a #2 trophy because he surpassed him in highest net worth individual? A #2 and a silver medal. I thought that was gutsy. Could have hit back in New World, Jeff. I'm just saying.
So guys, look, Sean says, hey, Sean, and Stuart says, or Amazon. Believe it or not, I saw another article talking about how there are names that are being allowed that are extremely offensive. So the fact that Jeff Bezos was disallowed says a little bit something, but no.
I find Jeff Bezos extremely offensive. So.
Well, you can't use the name, so that works.
Can I use Beth Bezos?
That would be a name that you would see. No, guys, I guess, look, we can start off talking about New World. It's the big news this week. No, we might as well kick off the show.
No, it's not the big news this week. Diablo 2 relaunch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
everyone's talking about that. But no, just to give some context, and there's a million articles, so I'm not going to pull up anything specific here, but just to give you guys some context. From what I've seen as of today, New World peaked at about 800,000 or 900,000 concurrents.
Wow.
And supposedly there are almost 9 million copies sold. At least $49.99 a pop. I think the deluxe is $59.99 or $69.99 if I remember correctly. So pretty huge numbers. We're talking about launch day. I'm curious, and this is the question I asked on the podcast, so you guys will have to tune in there to hear what our guests thought. But has anyone changed their mind from the previous discussion we had around New World? Like, do these numbers sway anyone? Does anyone think WoW is in more trouble than you previously thought?
Not since our last discussion. I mean, these numbers, if we had this discussion when, what was the last Amazon game that completely
Crucible.
tanked, and then Crucible, where it was so bad that they literally put it back into beta, basically, which is like unheard of. If we had this discussion then I would be shocked. But I think as of a few months ago, we knew that this game was going to do well on launch day, and the buzz around it was pretty strong. So I'm not surprised that the numbers are kind of bearing out as they are. In terms of what this means versus WoW and for Amazon game development in general, clearly it's a positive step forward for Amazon, the fact that they have made a hit game now. But the big question for how it competes against WoW and just how this game evolves is what they're going to do with the roadmap, what they're going to do with live content. We all know, MMOs aren't built in a day. What's there at launch needs to be radically different than what's there a year, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years down the road to have the kind of longevity that something like WoW has had. So I think there is a lot that remains to be seen with how they execute on the live service of this game. but it's a great start.
Is anyone swayed by the fact that, and this was interesting to me at least, they paid no streamers on launch day to play the game. They paid no influencers on launch day to play the game. They gave no priority queue to any streamer or influencer on launch day. In other words, Asmongold sat in his stream for like 4 hours in queue. Is anyone like, what is your thought on that? Does anyone have thoughts? That's a good thing. That's a bad thing. They made a mistake. They missed an opportunity.
I have a few thoughts. I have one thought, which is like, I think it's sensible. You don't need to pay people to do something they're already going to do. The game was already popular. The sort of people who are going to stream this were already going to stream it on launch day, right? Why? You know what I mean? Why would you pay? So I think that's smart. And I think, by the way, this is becoming more standard practice marketing for big major release games, particularly games that have a buzz around them, and particularly games that have sort of like, there's a freshness to them. In this case, it's a new IP, which is why it's fresh. I think like it's just now publishers are realizing, okay, well, there's going to be content around it in the first couple weeks anyway. We don't really. So that part is the not priority queue thing is just weird to me though, because that's not, I'm sorry, that's not even like, that's not you paying money. That's just like helping more people see and experience the game. And as maybe it has an effect of making your game look popular because Asmongold has to sit in a 4-hour queue. I think more realistically, you're doing people a disservice, because if I'm stuck in a 4-hour queue, I'd at least like to watch Asmongold play the game as opposed to also watching him stuck in a 4-hour queue. I think that is a little bit extreme and makes me seem more like just less familiar with game launch protocols. But overall, I mean, like whatever, you can't fault these guys. They got if it's true, they have 9 million sales and 800,000 on a concurrence. I mean, those are just incredible numbers to be launching with. And, in my mind, the question is not, wow, it's actually Final Fantasy 14, right? Which is really, I think, benefited recently from, I think, a general slack in the MMO genre, and what's going to happen to that now. Because this is, I mean, it's, if the content is there to sustain, which, as Jeff correctly points out, is a major if, right? There's a big difference between making a game that has 3 weeks worth of content and 3 years worth of content or 30 years worth of content, particularly when the gamers you're serving an MMO will blast through 80 hours of content without batting an eye. That's like the amuse-bouche, for them. But if there is a sustained content model there, they have a player base that's significant, and the MMOs are network effects driven, so they have the starting of a network effects model to leverage here.
Jimmy, Lindsay, I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts.
Lindsay,
I'm surprised no one thinks WoW is in trouble.
Maybe we just want to play the other side because we know that that's your opinion.
Everyone's well, Lindsay,
Also,
you go, but I want to jump in.
It's a debate show.
Yeah, Jimmy, go, Jimmy.
All right. Well, I think everyone, like to William's point, I think everyone's in trouble. I was really fed up with Call of Duty. I hopped into Apex for a little bit because it was fun. It held me over, but I'm also kind of tired of FPS games and wanted something different. So I don't think it's necessarily just a WoW killer with such a strong start. Like, yeah, no joke, I am in queue right now for 85. I was hoping to grind a little bit, right before or after dinner. I think everyone's in trouble. This is a really hot, popular game. To William's point, if you're going to play it already, you don't need to pay other people to play it, right? Like, they're going to hop in, and you'll get those big names, those big influencers supporting your title regardless. I think in a month, to also to Jeff's point, right? This is something that lives and breathes and grows over time. So if they're properly supporting their game, and if it already has this massive start that it has and this hype, then hey, I don't see anything but blue skies for this title. And yes, WoW's in trouble. Everyone's in trouble. This is it.
The bigger trend here a little bit is, are we seeing some sort of franchise fatigue in the industry? Because it seems like every genre is being dominated by, or the news in every genre is a new IP, right? Whether it's Splitgate for FPS or, now this for MMO, right? I think of other examples. you know, like I wonder if it is it getting the press because it's new IP and so we don't expect it to do well. So like because the flip side is if there was a note Call of Duty sells 9 million copies, we'd all be like, oh, whatever, you know, like what?
But William,
Right.
you've said it a million times before. The MMO genre is the toughest genre to break into. That's, I think, why this is worthy of discussion.
It's not hard to get tourism in. That was the term that was popular in the MMO wars, right? It's very easy, or not very easy, but I should say many MMOs had high trial against World of Warcraft, whether it was the Warhammer Online game. I mean, I can't even list them all. They like EverQuest 2, like many MMOs got high trial. The challenge was sustaining the user base and the population base because the issue was, well, people would log in and experiment it. They ended up being faced with like anyone can try anything for 10 hours and have fun and see something new. But when they're making MMOs are like a lifestyle, honestly, they're like a commitment. It's like choosing to date someone. I feel like when you're playing an MMO, it's like, it's that level of like, do I want to spend the next year to 2 years of my life? And when you face the choice of giving up everything you built in your prior relationship with WoW or, you know, Final Fantasy 14 or whatever, and having to start from scratch and build everything new, a lot of people are pulled. There's a real gravitational pull that pulls you back, among other reasons why MMOs are difficult to hold users, including just lack of content, as Jeff correctly points out.